Thank you, Jenna. Super exciting to be here, and thanks so much for the Melon team for trusting us for such an important project. So, see what I, to never trust your designers to test your animations in your slides. Okay, there you go. Cool. So let's start with some audience participation. Who here knows what Aragon is? Show of hands. Okay, 75% of the room. That's good. For those who don't know, Aragon is a project that is building a decentralized jurisdiction to compete with land jurisdictions in value creation and company building. And our main product right now, which is also called Aragon, it's not confusing at all. It's a decentralized application, a true decentralized application to create and manage decentralized organizations. We have over 295 organizations as of this morning. It's built on the Ethereum virtual machine. It's currently deployed on the Ethereum mainnet and on the Rinkeby testnet, although it's very easy to deploy and people are putting it out there in other blockchains as the XDAI chain. And right now it's available on the web. That's where the native, the first experience that we built is on the web, but we also have a desktop app as of last week, and also we have a pre-release mobile version of the app. So first, how we got here, this is actually a screenshot of Aragon 0.3, I believe. So when we started, we actually we weren't like a governance project, as some people like to call us. We really just had an idea for putting Delaware C Corps, which were a governance and a corporate governance structure that we knew very well, and we just put that on the blockchain. And people were very, very excited, and we were getting these questions every day about like, how can I use Aragon to run my cooperative? And the answer always was, okay, yeah, we could build this in 2 weeks, but actually we would need to fork the project. And that's something that made us think that maybe we could do something more than just building one particular governance structure or one corporate structure on the blockchain, and actually have like a more generalized protocol for building any type of organization. So this is when we started kind of like a painful and very interesting process of basically doing a complete re-architecture of the project. We did it twice, and the second time got into what we called Aragon OS. So Aragon OS is like the most powerful and flexible smart contract framework out there. It gives you upgradability and access control for free, so you don't really have to worry about it. You just build like a very simple contract, you plug it into Aragon OS, and you have upgradability and access control without even knowing or having to worry about it. It's been audited by who we think are like the best firms in the industry, by the Ethereum superheroes, the White Hat Group, and also Consensus Diligence. And we've had over $1 million under management of Aragon OS contracts, and more than 3,000 Aragon OS contracts right now on the Ethereum mainnet, which haven't been hacked. So actually designing the Aragon OS, we were looking for like good references into how to design systems that can grow and that are modular enough. Because that was like the design goal. It's like we have something that clearly works, but making it work for whatever people want, it's like it wasn't very flexible. So we looked into the UNIX design philosophy, and we were like super inspired by it. And mainly these two points. It's one, like programs should be small enough, and they just have to do one thing and one ththing only. And if you want to do another thing, like just write another contract or try to do it as a combination of two programs. And also there's this very important notion in Unix, the notion of pipes, and like piping the output of a program into the input of the next program. So if you want to do something more complex, you just pipe different programs together, and you can have people that not necessarily need to write a C program, but they just know how to write a script that pipes one program into another. So this is basically what we took as an inspiration, and actually it was very interesting because I could just like change like program for Aragon app or smart contract, and it actually makes sense, and it's what we did for Aragon OS. Basically, every contract, every part of the system is just one little contract that knows how to interact with other contracts, and if you have permission, if one contract has permissions to do stuff in other contracts, you basically link them together, and this is kind of like the flow of how it works. Basically, all external entities and all contracts in the system, they're just represented by an address. So here we have like someone that just wants to do a transfer, but they don't have permission, so they check the ACL of the organization with Aragon.js in this case, and they're prompted automatically to go through the voting contract, which the voting contract now knows that this person is allowed to create a vote here. Then if the holders of this token holders of these organizations decide to do so, then it will be the voting contract that will create this call or transaction here to the vault contract. And then the vault contract, because it checks that the voting contract is actually allowed to do it, the transfer will actually be done. And we call this transaction pathing, but what it looks like when you use Aragon is like, if you want to do something, you just go to where you want to do it. If you want to get funds out of a vault, you go to the vault and you say transfer funds, and it tells you, hey, you cannot do it, but I'm going to create a vote for you so you can do what you wanted to do. And this, like, by generalizing this, we basically can take governance, which is like a very it looks like a very complicated topic, but we just take it and convert it. A model is just access control, and this is like the only thing that governance is in our system, is whether someone has permission to do something somewhere else, and with some bytes or how in order for us to do some fancier things. But it's just this like on-chain governance. There's really no more to it, at least from an architecture standpoint. Then you can build like interesting governance models in like the who can be anything that you want, but the model is the same. Like it doesn't matter if you have a simple majority, a complete dictatorship, futarchy, or whatever. It's just like this is just addresses doing calls to other contracts. And with this system, we then build like very modular apps, very small apps that do one thing and one thing only, to kind of build organizations. So we have a very simple voting app. It's the one that we've built first. It's just a simple majority app that people use to make decisions in their organization. We also have a token manager, which is what people use to mint tokens in their organization that can represent anything from ownership to like membership to a group. We also have a finance app, which is kind of like the treasury or accounting module, so that you get to see how many funds that the DAO has, and like all the transfers that have been going on. We also have permissions. Permissions is not really an app because Aragon OS has this ACL as a native notion. The permissions is not really an app. It's part of the client, but it kind of looks also like an app. And here you get to design and see how all the apps in the organization work together and what entities have power over them. We also have this payroll app that we're very, very excited about, and people on Twitter seem super excited about it this today, that basically plugs into your DAO. If you have an Aragon 0.6 DAO today, you'll be able to install this payroll app. You just plug it, give it a permission to the finance app, and in that moment, you can start doing payroll in your organization. And this payroll is it allows your employees to claim their salary rather than every month or every week. They can claim it every block, because like if you don't have to talk, like bankers don't need to send money, and like accountants don't need to do anything or send a payslip, there's no reason for doing payroll once every month. People should be able to pull their money whenever they want to pay for the transaction fee. But more importantly, this is taking us into building like an ad platform in which everyone can build any app to work in their organizations. And actually, we are respecting the app platform. Like in all of these apps that you saw here, we're building with the same APIs that third-party developers have. We have no spatial rights for the apps that we've built. And we think that's very important, because if we could build these simple apps, then people can build absolutely crazy apps. And it's already happening. We have like 10 major serious apps that are not like a Hello World type app that are currently in development. And some examples is Autark's planning suite, which is a way it's not just one app, but a suite of applications that you can install in your DAO and allows you to organize a project, doing planning over what issues are more important. It integrates with GitHub directly to create bounties on issues. Then it has like this range voting thing, so you can gather consensus inside your organization of what are the things that are more important and how we allocate funds to these different issues. Or Althea's subnode node list app, which they're using for. Althea is a project that is actually deploying mesh networks, which is super exciting. So these subnet DAOs, they build like this node list app, so people can register their nodes and earn money for building the infrastructure to take the internet to places where it's just not worth it for the ISPs because they're not too efficient and these clients are not super important for them. But now that we have like the core system, we have the apps, we need to hook it up all together. And this is where DAO kits come into play. DAO kits are kind of like deployment scripts for DAOs, but they have like this very important feature that is that they are atomically. Configuring a DAO, there's like a lot of things that you can set up. You can do it very well. Or if you miss one permission, you don't deploy it correctly, then anyone can take your money if it's not correctly set up. So that's why we build kits. They're like atomic deployment scripts. So either like the DAO, it's like it either exists or it doesn't exist. But it's never in this weird state in which if someone were to front run one transaction, then they can get a permission. No, it's like when the DAO exists, it's like in the final configuration. And they're like super easy to build. Like it's like very trivial code. It's really like writing a script, and then we can write the scripts. We have two types of kits that we offer publicly. And of course, like we provide like an easy user interface so people can parameterize them from like from a user interface. This is another example of another DAO kit that we're using actually for Aragon's own governance model. This is like what we approved with AGP1, and it's basically just how the voting process for passing proposals in the Aragon network is right now. And we've actually been using this 2 weeks ago to approve 6 million worth of capital being deployed in multiple proposals. And now this is where it takes us to talk about Melon. We've been thinking about how do we onboard very important projects that they kind of could use Aragon, but there's like it's not Aragon out of the box that they need. They need some more configuration. So that's why we're doing Concierge. Concierge is kind of like a premium onboarding service that we have. It's not really a service because we're doing it for free. But yeah, these are the projects that we're working with. Actually, DAppNode, we already finished that project, and I'm very happy today to talk about the Melon project and the Melon Council project and how we worked on it. So it all starts with like people knowing what their governance model is. So in this case, sat down with Jenna, so they told us what they wanted to do, how the governance model worked. And then we basically turn it into like an Aragon kit specification. Here you can see like all the what we call permissions tables, which is okay. So we take these ideas of how the governance model works into like the different apps and how we connect these apps to get the outcome that we want. And then once the spec is ready, actually writing the kit is super trivial. We were able to do this in like less than 5 hours with complete test coverage of what the kit does. So it's really, once you've done it once, and we have like a superhero in our team, Bingen, that has done it more than once. So he's like our in-house expert in implementing governance models. But it's really easy. And by the way, this is now open source. Like you can see in like github.com/aragon/concierge. You can see the Melon kit. So you can see really how little code and how idiomatic and how easy to follow what the code does is. And then once you have the kit, you just execute it. In this case, this is a kit that we built for a one-time execution, but you can see if it made sense for thousands of Melon councils to be used. This is software you can just run this once, like you can run this every time, and you don't have to pay lawyers every time to build the same governance structure and the same corporate structure. You write it once, and then everyone can use your governance model. So yeah, this is kind of how it looks. This is actually like the Melon Council running on the testnet in Rinkeby. You can see it here on the desktop or here in mobile, since you're able to use it on both places. So yeah, that's all I had. We're super happy that Melon decided to to trust Aragon with us, and we're super excited to be here and to see how the Melon Council does.